Hello and welcome to CtrlAultDelTutorials. My name is Jason, and this is a final video, kind of a bonus video. And in this one, I'm going to show how we can take our animations and compile them down to just a single animation that we could export into Unity and just have one file. Now, I do like working with separate files just because if I have to fix something, I can do that. But this will show how to combine them in case you ever have to do that. So we'll just start with the one that I have open here, which is Break It Mario's attack. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to collapse this down to one animation. Right now we have all these layers here. So what I'm going to do is just go to my available slot. I'm going to add an absolute, which means we won't see any animation on it because it's an absolute layer. And I'm going to click this Collapse Layers button. And it's going to say Set Keyframes. I'm going to have them set to every frame. And I want to make sure it's for the entire duration. And now we'll see that. If I go back and I delete all these other layers, this still has everything all in one. What I like to do is name these. So I'll call this attack. Hit enter. So that'll be called attack now. And what I can do is I can save these out into different animations. I can select the platform here, and I can save out a clip. So if I click Save, I'll make a new file here, folder, Break It Mario Anims, and we'll call this Break It Mario Attack. I like to have my underscores in there. I want to save the entire range, so that's 0 to 80 in this case, and I want to save the entire stack. There's only one thing in the stack right now, so I'll save that out. It'll take just a couple seconds to save that out. And then what I'm going to do is save a brand new file that's called collapsed. So it'll be the same file, but I'll put collapsed on the end, just so I know that this is the collapsed version of it. That way, if I have to tweak anything, I can do that. And then I'll do the same thing for the other animations. And I'll show kind of what I did in the last video because I don't have the other animations kind of set up for export yet. So I'll do those just really quick, just so you can see those again. This does take a couple seconds. Don't worry about it saying not responding. Every time I've ever done this, it said not responding and it's been fine. And there you go. I was hoping that would be the case this time. All right, so we have that one. So we'll save that as attack underscore collapsed. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and open up the start of the idle. And this one's going to be a lot easier to fix. I mean, his feet are all kinds of jacked up, but what I'm going to do with his feet, though, is I'm going to delete all the animation like I've done before in the other videos. I'm going to delete the animation on his hands. I don't know why the hands got all messed up. It's like it pulled all the fingers back to the original position. That's interesting. Okay. Well, still, I'm going to do the same thing here where I just select the hand. Come on, and there we go. And I'll set the local weight here. Just right click on that. That'll reset it. And same thing here, local weighting. That'll reset the hand. And then I'll select the bones at the top of the legs. Reset their local. And since this is the idle, I'm not going to even worry about the foot positions. I'll just adjust these here because his feet shouldn't really be moving so much in the idle unless, you know, he's doing that in the idle. So I'll just take the foot positions here, create an adjustment local layer. And I'll just kind of reposition these feet to where they look a little more natural. Just kind of rotate these out a little. And this will just be like his idle feet position. And everything else should be okay here. So that'll be his idle. Not a whole lot going on. Save that out as his final for that. And while I'm at it, I will do the collapsed version. So add an absolute layer. Name that idle. Collapse it down. Set our frames per sample to 1. Make sure this is set to the last frame, and it is. Delete all the other layers here. And we should still have everything there. Save that as the collapsed version. Idle collapsed. And select the base. And save idle. Everything should be set fine here. So we'll just hit save. Again, probably get the not responding issue popping up. And we'll just wait for that. And then we'll go back to the other one that I've already done, which should be the walking. Collapse that one and I'll send it over, or save it the same way. And then we just have to do the running one with the foot positions. There we go. All right. So those are all saved out. Just save that again. We'll open the walking one and we'll collapse it down real quick. So select the available absolute layer, rename it walking, collapse it down, set our samples to 1, delete all the other layers, make sure he still walks, save that as collapsed. Normally if I have to fix something, I'll go back to the original one to fix that, and then I'll resave a new collapsed one. Okay, we'll save this out. Again, we'll get our little wait time there. That's our walking one. All right. And then we'll open up our last one here. So we'll just resave that, make sure it's saved. Open, go back to our start animations. Running. Okay, so in the other videos, we had seen what we had done here. So we had deleted all the animations here from the bottom. We had reset the legs to use local weighting. We'll reset the hands as well since they're all weird. Wonder if I could just reset the fingers themselves. No, it does the whole thing for the hand. Select the other hand. Turn off the weighting there. I'm going to leave his hands open for running, even though I would typically want them in fists. Okay. You can see here the last frame's a little weird, so we'll just set that back to 20th frame there. Make sure that still kind of loops. That should be okay. All right, so now we need to do the foot positions. So we'll set our local layer. Set this back to 0. We'll import in those foot positions that we made in the previous video by merging them. Set that to running. Bring those both in. And I think this time I'm just going to align them. Let's see, where's R1? So R1 on this side. And I don't think I'm going to do the X position. That way it stays closer to its original position. And we'll just readjust the foot here so it's not rotated. I think that was 20 degrees before. And we'll just move our platform over so it's not so overlapping here. What did we do before? 15, I think. He's running, we'll do a little further over, 17. Okay, we'll align the other foot up. So we'll select the platform here. Align. And that should be good. We'll move that back over to negative, I think we did 17. And we'll rotate the foot here 20 degrees. Right there. All right, so now we need to parent the platforms to those foot positions. So just click and drag. And click and drag. And then we'll select both platforms and we'll use our Anibake script. Bake to original object based off those keyframe times. Delete our positions, these reference ones, and rename those platforms so they do not have the underscore baked. I do like that that's there, just so I know that I've run the script correctly, but I hate that I have to rename it, so it's kind of a double-edged sword. All right, and our run should be, ooh, get a little bit of a problem right there. So we'll see what's going on there. Looks like this foot gets like all twisted around. Let's see if it's just the leg twisting. Sometimes that'll happen. Oh, strange. That's all rotated up. Let's see how the foot platform starts. Well, it starts out fine. So what I'm going to have to do in this case is remove all of the rotation animation from these. So that's good that you get to see that in this video, I guess. So we'll go to open up the curve editor here. I'll make this nice and big. We're going to select just our rotations. That way I'm only deleting those keys, not any of the position ones. I'm just going to select and delete those. And so now I won't have any rotation on these feet. I have it on the foot bones, just not on the platforms. And they only get a little strange. So all I have to do is turn on auto key. I'll just set a key there by rotating. And I'm just going to rotate 5 degrees and then 5 degrees back. So it sets a key here for rotation. And then I'll just take this one. And at the very end of that run there, I'll rotate that this way. And that way. So it's like it's stepping. Set this back here to 0. Set my key there for where it's rotated. And set that back to flat. Is that how the foot is on that one? Yeah. All right, so I just adjusted that in the local layer there real quick. It's not the greatest, but it'll do for what we're trying to achieve here. All right, so that's our running one. It's all tweaked. Save our final animation. So running. I would usually put the suffix final at the end of those, but that's fine. Okay, we're going to collapse this down. So add our absolute layer. Name this running. And we will collapse. Set this to sample every frame. Delete everything else. Save that as our collapsed file. And we'll save out the animation. Running. Okay. Save. Okay, so that's going to take just a minute to save out those 20 keyframes. And we're almost done with this. The last part is just adding these all into the same file. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up the idle animation because that's what I like to have as my first animation. So we'll go back to our idle collapsed. So we'll just do idle collapsed. And actually, no, I lied. I lied to you. Sorry. We're going to go back to our original guy with the T-pose, our auto-rigged fixed one, if you have it. If you don't, this is fine. The reason I do that is I can have all of the animations for this guy. So I'm going to get rid of this Mixamo animation layer there. I'm going to keep the T-pose one. The reason I do that is so I can see what animations are coming up. So I can open up any clips here for his animations. So if I double click on Break It Mario here, and I go to idle, it's going to ask me what start frame do I want this to start on. Well, I'm going to go ahead and start it on frame 0 for this. Actually, I'm going to start on frame 1. So we'll have the idle start on frame 1. Frame 0 will be our T-pose. So I will load that in. So if I go to frame 0, we can see it's starting out with that frame. What I'm actually going to do is set an animation here for the idle for the global value. So it's already got a setting here for 100. So all I have to do is go back to frame 0, turn on auto key, and I can right click on the spinner here just to set this to 0. And so now he'll be in the T-pose here. This next frame, he starts his idle animation. And if I select everything, we can see when the last key is made here, frame 60. So what I'll do from here is I'm going to set a global weight key. All I have to do is click up and you'll see this turns red around it. And since that ends on frame 60, I'm going to go to frame 61. I'll right click and set that to 0. I'm going to go to frame 70 and set it to 0 also, or 69. We'll set it to 70, it's fine. Okay, so that's it for that layer. Now I want to bring in the next layer of animation. So I like to have a couple of frames here where he goes back to his T-pose. Those kind of let me know where the animation stops and starts when I'm playing through. So I'll go to frame 70, and I'll go back into the animations. We'll start with his walking, so I'll double click walking. Start frame is going to be frame 70. I'm going to leave all the settings here the same. I'm not going to change anything. I do want to scale data, but he's the same scale as he's always been, so that'll be fine. So we'll hit load, and you will always see this happen. I don't know what it is, but as soon as you go to play the animation, he'll be back to normal. So frame 70, he's set to a weight of 100. I go back to frame 69 and right click, and he's 0. So we can see that he's at zeroed out, T-pose, and we can even see the numbers animating here. So idle is there. We can see T-pose is there, but idle is overriding it because it's absolute. T-pose. There's our next animation. If I hit Control A and select everything, we can go to the end here. So frame 100 is the end. I'll select my little base human parent object. Make sure my global weight, I click up on the spinner here to set a key for global weight. Go one key over and right click and set that to 0. And I don't really need this one to where I set this to 0 again. But I don't know why. I always end up setting another key for 0 where I'm starting the next one. I don't know why. It's just something I do. Can't really explain that part. Go to my next animation. We'll do our running one. Okay. I want to start on frame 110. Load. Again, he comes in sideways. We go back one frame, set our global to 0. So we always go back one frame and do that. We have our run. Control A. See when our last frame is here. Right there. And we're going to set that again. Click up on our global weight. One key over. Set it to 0. Like I said, I always go to the next 10. Click another one. And then I'll do my attack. Start time is going to be 140. Load. Go back one key. Right click to set our global weight to 0. Control A to select everything. I'm going to hit Control, Alt, and right click and drag down here in the timeline till I see the last keyframe pop up. Right there. So now he's got his attack. Kaboosh. Go to the last frame. Set my global weight. And I'll go one more frame just for good measure in case I'm going to add anything on. And set that to 0. And go to 230 and set another one for 0. And then I don't need all those there. I can just go back to the last main frame that I had here, 220. But that's so it's set up in case I want to do more animations. And now if I play the whole thing, it's going to look pretty funny. So we see our idle, we see our walk, we see our run, and we see our attack. Something tells me something. Oh, we're blending there. Let's see what happened. Okay, so that is set to 100. Oh, I accidentally set the 220 to 0 there. That's my mistake. That way the attack finishes out. And then on frame 221, it's frame 0. Whoops, hold on. Make sure auto key is turned on. Jeez. All right, attack. Let's go to 221. That should be set to 100. And 140 should be set to 100. I know what I did now. I accidentally, I'm going to go back to my attack and delete my keyframes here. So it starts off at, this should be 0. This should be 1. All of these got offset. That's 1. So you can go into the curve editor and see where your keys are set for these. And that should be 0. I accidentally changed that with auto key off and it adjusted everything. So you want to be very careful with that. All right, so we'll go back to frame 220. That's where this all stopped. Okay, and that's what the last frame should look like. So let's make sure everything's fine. Idle, T-pose walk, T-pose run, T-pose attack. And now if I was going to bring this into Unity, I would know that my first animation starts on 1, ends on 60. Next one starts on 70, ends on 100. Next one starts on 110, ends on 130, and the following one is 140 to 220. Normally they don't end that evenly, but that's kind of nice that they do. I may do one video in the future of just setting these animations up in Unity. I do have a video that shows setting up animations and how you do that, but if enough people want me to do that for these specifically, I will do that video as well. But I just want to say thank you for watching. I hope you made it through the entire series. I know there's a lot of videos there and they're a little bit lengthy, but if you enjoyed the videos, please give me a like. Think about subscribing, coming back and seeing more videos. I'm going to have a lot of stuff for you guys hopefully coming up. I've been taking a little bit of a break from making videos, but now I have a little bit more time to do that again. But anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for liking the videos.